Hello, beautiful people. Deke, Sharon coming to you from Camp A Cappella, and I got an insider one. I got one for the arrangers out there who are looking for new ideas and ways to draw inspiration from other places. In this case, it's going to be big bands. Now, a big band is an incredible format. I mean, they were the rock bands really during the swing era back in the 1940s. They have a lot in common with collegiate and high school size ensembles, 15, 18, and those big band ensembles also have one on a part on their music. Each person's doing something different. So there's a lot of similarity to be drawn between big band arranging and a cappella arranging. So what can we learn? Let's start by talking about Woody Herman's Four Brothers. Listen to the punctuation in those background parts and the different lines and the way the different instruments are used and weaved together at times to create this beautiful wall of sound, and other times each one you can hear the character of them. You get a sense of the different textures going on. And there's a lot of similarity between that and the way a lot of modern collegiate and high school arrangements are designed. Number two, let's look at Glenn Miller's Little Brown Jug. Do you know that tune? It's like an old folk tune. He takes a song, gives it a swing, and transforms it into this fun, playful song. And this is a real challenge to an arranger, because sometimes those of you who are arranging for your groups, you get a song you don't want, you get a song you think is too simple, and this is a masterclass on taking a fantastic, classic, very simple folk song that's really like a child's tune and turning it into something that swings. So you can take a simple song in the same way and turn it into something that rocks, or pops, or hip hops. Pop it, lock it, polka dotted. All right, you get it. Number three, the great Count Basie. His arrangements, his band leading, second to none, tied for first place as far as I'm concerned. And if you listen to his classic April in Paris, probably his best known piece, that song has something that is better than any other big band tune and maybe any other song. It has the greatest ending in the world. It ends, and then it's a false ending, and they come back into it, right? And he's like, one more time in the recording studio, and when he did it live too, and you just hear those big chords hitting again, and you're like, yes, I want this again. And that tips on its end the whole idea that a song just needs to start, go through, and end. And in fact, you think twice is enough? It's not enough. Even the studio version, it comes back in and goes, one more once, and bam, you get the ending of April in Paris again. You gotta listen to it. I'm gonna take a break right now and go listen to it. All right, I'm back. He was tied for first place with the one and only inimitable Duke Ellington. In fact, Duke Ellington had an art scholarship, I don't know if you know this, and instead of deciding to go and paint, he decided to paint with sounds and really treat sounds as color. And you probably know Take the A Train, you know these classic songs, but do you know songs like Harlem Air Shaft, where he literally creates the entire sound of a Harlem neighborhood through musical instruments, the swirling different sounds and sound effects. Or something like East St. Louis Toodaloo, which is another absolute classic studied in jazz conservatories all over. And in fact, it's such a great piece that the amazing Steely Dan decided they were gonna cover it. So Steely Dan did a version of East St. Louis Toodaloo. Like, that doesn't happen very often. Okay, I'm talking about all these big bands, but you're thinking like, that's too many parts. I've got a smaller ensemble. Where can I learn? Turn to the one and only Louis Prima. Every time I hear Louis, he makes me smile. Now you may think like, do I really know Louis Prima? Well, do you know that tune of Just a Gigolo? That was him. He did the original version that David Lee Roth copied. And if you've seen the Jungle Book, King Louis there, that's Louis Prima. In fact, there are some great photos from behind the scenes where they recorded that song, and he was marching around the sound studio leading all of his like trumpeters and instrumentalists in like a conga line. The man's concerts were an absolute party, but he didn't have a big band. He had a small little ensemble, and a lot of that stuff the Brian Setzer Orchestra does or whatever is like Jump Jive and Wail. That's taken right from Louis Prima. Listen to how those horns are lined up and how very few instruments create this enormous sound. Big, bright, brassy, unrelenting, and full of energy and personality, just like the man Louis himself was. And in fact, something that's interesting is you can hear his small version of Sing Sing Sing, a song that he wrote, and then you can hear it done by a big ensemble, you know, the Benny Goodman Orchestra in that classic coming out concert in Carnegie Hall. And then you can also hear vocal jazz versions of it. You know, Sing 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 was done by the New York Voices, for instance. And you can see how the voices are used, large ensembles, small ensembles, translated into voices, and you can start to think about, okay, this is a cool way that you can take and learn from the way other people have used voices in translating instruments and translating big band, and then you can go from there with your own ideas. So much great music, so much great 40s swing, the jazz era. And I want you to remember this. We think about jazz now as this kind of rarefied form and, oh, it's only for certain people and you have to step. No, that was the pop music of its era. Go back and listen to the 40s. Listen to the sound of those swinging bands, the power from them, and learn how they're all put together and how you can take all these individual instruments that can only make one note at a time and create a powerful, overwhelming wall of sound that makes you want to get up and dance and sing and jump around. There's a lot to be learned from this, and this was the music of the people. This was the music that people listened to on their radio station, you know, and the phonographs, and they got up and they went to concert halls and they danced to it. This was the pop music of its day, and there's so much to be learned from it. So go back several decades, listen to those big bands, and I promise you, it'll make you a better arranger, and it'll make you a happier human. What more can you ask for? All right, if you got any questions, you got any suggestions, if you've got big band tunes you think that other people should listen to and get some tips from, post them in the notes below, because there is so much great music out there, all right? See you next time.